Welcome to the supernatural tale of a stranger's grace. Written by Harmony Taylor, presented by Dawnspire Digital. Each week we uncover mysteries where we'll meet God. May you enjoy this week's episode.
Chapter 13. Eleanor's hand trembled as she ended the call, her heart racing like it hadn't in years. Claire had called. Claire wanted to talk. She pressed her palm against her chest, trying to steady her breathing. Was this real? After days of silence following the cafe disaster, her daughter had reached out. Eleanor replayed Claire's voicemail 3 times, marveling at the cautious hope in her voice. "I've been thinking about what you said," Claire had said, her words hesitant but clear, "and I want to talk." Tears welled in Eleanor's eyes. She hadn't expected this. Not so soon. Maybe not ever. She had prepared herself for the worst, ready to bear the weight of her confession alone, fearing she might never see her daughter again. But now, a flicker of hope ignited within her. Wiping her tears with the back of her hand, Eleanor dialed Claire's number. The phone rang once, twice, and then, "Mom?" Claire's voice was soft, cautious. "Claire?" Eleanor whispered, her voice cracking. "I got your message." "Yeah," Claire replied, tension palpable in her tone. "I think we need to talk." "Of course," Eleanor said quickly, words tumbling out. "Where? When?" They agreed to meet at the park across town where Claire had played as a child. The thought of it sent a wave of nostalgia crashing over Eleanor, the memories of Claire's laughter, the feel of her tiny hand in hers, the warmth of those long-ago afternoons. Could they really go back? Could they find their way to something new? As Eleanor stood by the window staring out at the street below, the city moved on, oblivious to the storm raging inside her. She closed her eyes and whispered a prayer. "God, help me. Give me the words. Give me the strength. I can't do this without you." The verse came to her lips. "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Eleanor breathed in, letting the familiar words settle deep in her chest. She needed that rest now more than ever. Not just for her body, but for her spirit, the parts of her that had been battered and bruised for so long. She needed the peace that only God could provide. Glancing at the clock, she knew it was time to go. The ride to the park felt like a pilgrimage. Each stoplight was heavy with the weight of the past and the uncertainty of the future. The streets were busy, people rushing by with their own lives, their own stories. But for Eleanor, the world seemed to slow, as if the universe were holding its breath, waiting for what would come next. When she arrived at the park, the familiar sight of the swings and the old oak tree brought a bittersweet smile to her lips. She remembered pushing Claire on those swings, her daughter's laughter filling the air, bright and carefree. It felt like a lifetime ago. Stepping out of the car she hired, Eleanor spotted Claire sitting on a bench near the tree, her posture stiff, hands clasped tightly in her lap. Eleanor's heart twisted. She had done this. She had caused this pain. Taking a deep breath, she walked toward Claire, her cane tapping softly against the pavement. Each step felt monumental, the weight of her guilt pressing down on her. But she kept moving. She had to. "Claire," Eleanor said softly as she reached the bench. Claire looked up, her eyes red and swollen. She had been crying. Eleanor's heart broke all over again. "Mom," Claire said, her voice barely above a whisper. Eleanor sat down beside her, leaving a small space between them. She didn't want to crowd her or push. She would wait. She would let Claire lead. For a moment, neither spoke. The only sounds were the rustling leaves overhead and distant laughter from children playing on the swings. Eleanor's hands trembled in her lap, her heart pounding. She prayed silently, asking God for guidance, for the right words. Finally, Claire spoke. "I've been thinking a lot about what you said, about the accident, Elijah, about Daddy, about everything." Eleanor swallowed hard, her throat tight. "I'm so sorry, Claire. I never meant to hurt you." Claire nodded, her gaze fixed on the ground. "I know, but you you hurt me more than I can even explain." Eleanor's chest tightened. She wanted to reach out, to hold her daughter, to tell her how much she loved her. But she didn't. She couldn't. Not yet. "I felt so betrayed," Claire continued, her voice trembling. "You lied to me for years. You let me believe that Daddy was responsible for everything. You let me hate him." Eleanor's heart shattered. "I know," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. I was wrong. I was so, so wrong. Claire wiped at her eyes, her fingers trembling. Why? Eleanor closed her eyes, fighting back the tears that threatened to spill over. I was scared, she admitted. I was scared of losing you. I was scared of what you would think of me. I was scared of facing the truth myself. Claire let out a shaky breath, her hands clenching into fists. I don't know if I can forgive you, Mom. I don't know if I can ever trust you again. Eleanor's heart sank, but she nodded. I understand. She said softly, I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I'm asking for it anyway. I'm asking for a chance to make things right. Claire was silent for a long moment, her gaze distant. Then she turned to face Eleanor, her eyes filled with pain and something else, something that looked a little like hope. I don't know if I can forgive you, Claire repeated, her voice quieter now. Eleanor's eyes prickled, opening her mouth. Claire waved her hand. But I want to try. Eleanor's breath caught in her throat. She hadn't expected this. She had hoped, but she hadn't truly believed it was possible. Thank you, she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. Thank you for giving me a chance. Claire nodded, her lips pressed into a thin line. I don't know what this means for us. I don't know how to move forward from here. We'll figure it out, Eleanor said, her voice steady. Together, one step at a time. Claire glanced down at her hands, fingers twisting together. I've been thinking a lot about forgiveness, she said quietly, about what it means, about how hard it is. Eleanor bobbed her head once. It is hard. It's one of the hardest things we can do, but it's also one of the most powerful. Claire looked up, her eyes searching Eleanor's face. Do you think God can really forgive you? After everything? Eleanor's breath caught. She hadn't expected this question. But she knew the answer. Yes, she said firmly. I believe he already has. I believe in his grace, in his love, in his forgiveness. It's made possible through the blood of Christ. And I believe he wants the same for you. Claire's eyes filled with tears again, and this time she didn't wipe them away. She let them fall, silent and steady, like rain on parched ground. I don't know if I'm ready for that, she whispered. I don't know if I'm ready to forgive you or him. Eleanor reached out, her hand trembling as she gently touched Claire's arm. That's okay, she said softly. You don't have to be ready right now. Forgiveness is a journey. It takes time. But I'll be here, walking with you every step of the way. Claire looked down at Eleanor's hand on her arm, then slowly, hesitantly, she placed her own hand over her mother's. It was a small gesture, but it felt monumental. Okay, Claire whispered, we'll try. Eleanor smiled, her heart swelling with a mixture of relief and gratitude. We'll try, she echoed. They sat in silence for a while longer, the weight of their shared pain still present, but somehow lighter now. The sun was beginning to set, casting a warm, golden glow over the park. The leaves rustled softly in the breeze, and Eleanor felt a sense of peace settle over her. Thank you, Lord, she whispered under her breath. Thank you for this moment. Thank you for this chance. As they stood to leave, Eleanor glanced down and saw it. A single white feather lying on the ground at her feet. She smiled, her heart lifting. Another reminder. Another sign. She bent down and picked up the feather, holding it gently in her hand. Look, she said, showing it to Claire. Claire frowned slightly, confused. Eleanor nodded, her smile widening. Yes, a feather. A reminder that we're not alone, that there's always hope. Claire stared at the feather for a moment, then nodded slowly. Maybe, she said softly. Maybe there is. They walked away from the park together, their steps slow but steady. The path ahead was uncertain, but for the first time in years, Eleanor felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. And she knew, deep in her heart, that they would find their way. Together. One step at a time. The next morning, Eleanor woke with a sense of peace she hadn't felt in years. The nightmare that had plagued her for so long was gone, replaced by a quiet stillness, a sense of hope. She knew what she had to do next. Picking up her phone, she dialed the number she had been avoiding for years, the number of Elijah's parents. Her heart raced as the phone rang, but she didn't hang up. When the voice on the other end answered, Eleanor took a deep breath. Hello, she said, her voice steady. My name is Eleanor Hayes. I need to talk to you about your son. Eleanor paced the small confines of her living room, her mind racing. The conversation with Elijah's parents had been heavy, laden with the weight of sorrow and regret. She had poured out her heart, confessing her part in the tragedy that had shattered their lives. "I can't undo what happened," she'd said, her voice trembling. "But I want to take responsibility. I want to honor Elijah's memory." The silence on the other end had felt suffocating. She had braced herself for anger, for blame, but instead they had listened. They had shared their pain, their grief. And in that moment, Eleanor felt a connection, a shared burden that, while it could never erase the past, might lead to healing. Now, as she stood by the window watching the world outside, she felt a shift within her. She had taken a step toward reconciliation, not just with Elijah's family, but with herself. Each day was still a struggle, but there was a flicker of light guiding her through the darkness. Her phone buzzed again, breaking her reverie. She glanced at the screen and saw Claire's name. Eleanor's heart raced. Was this another chance to connect? With trembling fingers, she answered. "Claire?" "Mom," Claire's voice came through, softer this time. "Can we meet again? I want to talk more about everything." Eleanor's heart soared. "Of course. Where do you want to meet?" "How about that cafe again? The one we went to last time?" Eleanor nodded, even though Claire couldn't see her. "Yes, I'll see you there." As she hung up, a wave of gratitude washed over her. God was moving in their lives. She could feel it, like a gentle breeze stirring the leaves of a tree. The cafe was bustling when Eleanor arrived. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled the air, mingling with the chatter of patrons. She spotted Claire sitting at a corner table, her fingers nervously tracing the rim of her cup. Eleanor's heart ached at the sight of her daughter. Claire looked so small, so fragile, her eyes red from what must have been another night of tears. Taking a deep breath, Eleanor approached the table. "Hey, sweetheart," she said softly, sliding into the chair across from Claire. Claire looked up, her expression a mix of hope and uncertainty. "Hi, Mom." Eleanor reached out, placing her hand over Claire's. "I'm so glad you called." Claire's gaze dropped to their hands, and Eleanor felt the tension in her daughter's body. "I've been thinking about everything," Claire said, her voice barely above a whisper. "About you, about Dad, about everything." Eleanor nodded, her heart racing. "And? What are you feeling?" Claire took a deep breath, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I'm angry, Mom. I'm so angry. I don't understand how you could keep that from me for so long. You let me hate Dad for something he didn't do." Eleanor's chest tightened at the pain in Claire's voice. "I know. I was wrong. I was scared, and I didn't know how to tell you the truth. I thought I was protecting you." Etched on her face. "Protecting me? By lying? You don't even know how much that hurt." Eleanor felt a lump form in her throat. "I know it hurt. I can't take it back. All I can do is ask for your forgiveness." Claire's expression softened, but the hurt was still there. "I don't know if I can forgive you, Mom. I don't know if I even want to." Eleanor squeezed Claire's hand gently. "That's okay. Forgiveness is a journey. It takes time. I'm here for you, no matter how long it takes." Claire looked down, her fingers fidgeting with the napkin on the table. "I just feel so lost. I don't know what to believe anymore." Eleanor felt a surge of compassion. "It's okay to feel lost. We've both been through so much. But I promise you, God is with us. He's been guiding me, even when I didn't see it." Claire looked up, her eyes searching Eleanor's face. "Do you really believe that? After everything?" Eleanor nodded, her heart steady. "Yes. I believe he loves us, even in our brokenness. He's been showing me that his grace is bigger than my mistakes." Claire's expression shifted, a flicker of curiosity breaking through her pain. "How do you know? How can you be so sure?" Eleanor took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her own journey. "Because I've felt it. In my darkest moments when I thought I was beyond hope, he reached out to me. He showed me that I'm still his child, no matter what I've done." Claire's eyes filled with tears again, and this time she didn't wipe them away. "I want to believe that," she whispered, "but it's hard." Eleanor reached across the table, her hand trembling as she gently touched Claire's arm. "That's okay. It's hard for all of us, but you don't have to do it alone. I'll be here, walking with you every step of the way." Claire looked down at Eleanor's hand on her arm. Then slowly, hesitantly, she placed her own hand over her mother's. It was a small gesture, but it felt monumental. "Okay." Claire whispered, "We'll try." Eleanor smiled, her heart swelling with a mixture of relief and gratitude. "We'll try," she echoed. They sat in silence for a while longer, the weight of their shared pain still present, but somehow lighter now. The sun was beginning to set, casting a warm, golden glow over the cafe. The leaves rustled softly in the breeze outside, and Eleanor felt a sense of peace settle over her. "Thank you, Lord," she whispered under her breath. "Thank you for this moment. Thank you for this chance." As they stood to leave, Eleanor glanced down and saw it, a single white feather lying on the ground at her feet. She smiled, her heart lifting. Another reminder, another sign. She bent down and picked up the feather, holding it gently in her hand. "Look," she said, showing it to Claire. Claire frowned slightly, confused. "A feather?" Eleanor nodded, her smile widening. "Yes, a feather. A reminder that we're not alone, that there's always hope." Claire stared at the feather for a moment, then nodded slowly. "Maybe," she said softly. "Maybe there is." They walked away from the cafe together, their steps slow but steady. The path ahead was uncertain, but for the first time in years, Eleanor felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. And she knew, deep in her heart, that they would find their way. Together. One step at a time, OP. And she knew, deep in her heart, that they would find their way. Together, one step at a time.